see it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either stopped.
And not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed.
Free ride in the front of the field here. Look at Emil Tab up the inside for the race lead. We head down to the first corner.
And these guys have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slipping.
Side by side for the race lead, 54, 48 through 3 and 4, working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali, power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here.
Yeah, typically we'll ran off the track in the final quarter. That'll allow Fuller to get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller for turn 1. And Sanfilippo hangs on. He's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try here, boys. They're going to do it. Gritsko backs out. They touch. They're going to crash. Gritsko going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall. And Sarah Testa hits him as well. And big damage on these cars. That's a huge
Number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, even trying to then run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in front of the car.
James Howden looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. Bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide for them.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door, banging doors, fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
The perfect place to set up a firestorm at the end of a great season of racing is a short track. Iowa Speedway is that place for our penultimate race of the season. Next week, we'll head to Atlanta to conclude our championship with AJ Stravato leading the points, but only by 4. And with everything as tight as it is, a single slip-up could end championship hopes for any of the front runners. This is the Outsider Racing League Chase, the penultimate race of the season from Iowa Speedway here in Newton, Iowa. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn tonight for our second to last race of the season at a racetrack that looks like a speedway but races like a short track. We've got about 25 drivers here tonight, all looking for wins, a handful of them still looking for the championship, Connor.
Yeah, it's going to be a very thrilling event. We're really going to see who's going to fight hard for this championship. Still got 3 drivers in it. AJ Stravato leading the points by 4 over Jeff Wright, and then 6 more points back to Bailey Turner after that controversial wreck at a turn number 4 took out Turner. But it's going to be even more chaotic than Dover was, in my opinion. Iowa's a track that's really tough to tame. I know that's Darlington's line, but this track's got all of that and maybe a little more with tough banked corners and pretty fast straightaways. It's going to be pretty wild to see which line prevails.
Absolutely. Newton, Iowa, population of about 15,000 people. Relatively new racetrack, constructed in 2005. And one of the interesting facts here, Iowa Speedway hosts several driving schools year-round. So this is a great place to do your Rusty Wallace driving experience or other associated driving experience. On the racetrack now are the drivers setting up for qualifying here for our race here this evening. Times on the left-hand side of the screen to note where drivers will line up for the start of this race. There is Casey Lakatos in the Sim Motorsports number 50. And you'll notice the drivers lit up in gold. Those are your chase competitors for tonight. And we'll wrap up the points situation for you here just shortly. There's one of those drivers in that championship. That's Bryce Calusa in the number 20 car. Winner from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta earlier in the season. Jeff Wright, recent winner from Sonoma. He's on a hot streak. So is AJ Stravato in that number 33. The points leader coming into the night. We'll see if he can hold off a bunch of the other front runners. With 2.5 minutes left here in qualifying, a couple names you're going to notice that are returning to ORL, Connor. One of those is at the top of the board, Yusuf Ghali making his return to the Outsider Racing League.
We got a lot of drivers that used to drive in this series coming back. RJ Root, he had a few races early in the season. Ben Baffert, Adam Cabot's obviously been he's pretty much been full-time. Ooh, Alex Bell into the wall there. Look how loose these drivers are getting off of turn number 2. Tim Downey Jr. fishtailing off of turn 2. But yeah, Yusuf Ghali, Ben Baffert, Finian's actually racing. I don't think he's raced an ORL race before, so this is basically his ORL debut. A lot of drivers coming back, help the participation a little bit. And it's going to be really interesting to see how these drivers race these chase competitors, as someone like Yusuf Ghali, who's obviously got the pace to go up and win this race. Same for Ben Baffert. They go 1-2, those two together. Yusuf almost won this race last season before he got caught out on tire strategy, so I expect him to be at the front for the majority of this race. You see Tim Downey Jr. coming out of turn 4.
So Tim Downey Jr. in that number 25 Downey Enterprises Toyota Camry across the start-finish line. Will he improve on his 23.601? Yes, he will, a 23.237. It's still not a great effort. He will line up 14th as it stands. Zach Floyd on the racetrack right now in his Coors Light Silver Bullet car. That's the number 42. He is as well a chase competitor. I believe we got Dash for Cash on the line tonight as well. Those drivers, if applicable, will have a green number on their door. I don't see any drivers out there with that number on it. I know that there is cash available tonight for these drivers. If they show up, I can't remember why they're giving it away, but they're just giving away cash just because, and that's great due to the great administrators they've got here. David Mott Jr., of course, Andrew Telganoff putting that money up on the line. 50 seconds left here in qualifying, and Ben Baffert jumps up to second. He's another driver we haven't seen in a very long time. He's running his Ben Baffert Twitch channel, Toyota Camry. He qualifies on the front row with Yusuf Ghali.
Yeah, I think you're going to be surprised by Ben, because last time, to be honest, Ben Baffert raced in ORL or VRL, he wasn't that talented. I'll be completely honest. He wasn't the fastest of the group, but he's improved dramatically in 2020. He's a really good driver on the sim. He can race with you side by side. He can beat you, bang doors with you, get you out of the way easily. He's fast. He's got raw pace, and he'll be at the front for sure for the rest of this one.
There's Brandon Bowers in the number 31. He's going to jump up with his qualifying effort here shortly. He's actually, oh, no, he's not. He didn't even get a lap in, unfortunately. So he will not get a qualifying lap in. He'll have to start towards the back of this field. In just a moment, we're going to roll through your starting lineup and get everything set for our event here tonight. So in just a moment, we'll take you down to the grid and roll through them, Connor. And as always, we've got a very stacked grid, lots of drivers from the past. Let's roll through your starting lineup on that front row. It's going to be Yusuf Ghali in the 54, Ben Baffert in the 23. Then it's Ryan Carlisle in that row number 2 alongside AJ Stravato in the number 33 car. He is your current points leader. Row number 3 behind them, Bailey Turner in the 24, Jonathan Hernandez in the number 1. Alex Bell rolling off 7th in his number 15 Sim Motorsports Camry. There is a 77 Adam Cabot, a couple race wins this season, rolls off in 8th. Casey Lakatos and Bryce Calusa are 9th and 10th.
Then we get to get some new drivers back here. I believe Mario Mendoza is making his ORL debut. He's 11th alongside Matthew Close, who got his first top 10 in ORL competition last week at Dover in the 12th position. 13th position, RJ Root getting another start here. Hasn't made a start in a while. Alongside Hidden Pistorius, another driver, I believe, making his first ORL start. Then on to the 8th row, Tim Downey Jr., Jeff Wright. Wright second in the points, 4 points back. He's going to have a lot of time to make up. A lot of spots behind Stravato. Row 9, Jeremy Miller, last one to put down a time. Then the first one to not put down a time, Brian Chambliss. And then on that 10th row will be Brandon Bowers and Eddie Trejo.
So the last couple rows rolling along the bottom of your screen now, and by the looks of it, we've got about 25 drivers lined up. David Mott Jr. will bring up the rear of the field. Now let's have a look at our keys to the race here, Connor. Tonight, aero push, that's going to be a big concern. High corner speeds here, even with that smaller spoiler. Green flag runs, I expect to see quite a bit of it. We see a lot of green flag racing here at Iowa. Calamity corner is turn number 4. I'd expect to see a lot of our incidents happen right over here.
Yeah, you see always, especially through turns 3 and 4, that's where you see the most lines being used. You see people right next to the wall, and you'll see people right on the yellow line, and that means the lines are usually going to converge out of the corners. Those two cars go on each and every line. They'll collide at some point, and you'll see probably a massive pileup on the front stretch at one point or another, maybe on a late race or restart. We'll have to wait and see, but turn 4 is definitely chaos if you go the wrong way.
Have a look at our weather information here tonight. Racing into the nighttime. Air temp is 78 degrees. Track temp is 81. That tells me it's cool enough, Connor, that we could see some really, really fast laps and a lot of grip. We did see the drivers loose in qualifying, but I expect the track to grip up throughout the night. And by the tail end of this race, I think it'll be pretty fast indeed, especially those restarts are something I want to watch if we do get caution flags to kind of break up this race. So as we roll up onto the racetrack on that front row, the 54 Yusuf Ghali. Been a long time since we've seen him in an ORL field, and having a look here at his iRating, 57.62, and that is, I believe, the highest iRating of anyone in the field, and he will start on that front row.
Yeah, he's definitely, I wouldn't be surprised if he led every single lap. He was fast last season here, but like I said, caught out on tire strategy, but he's going to be leading the field with the green flag here. He's going to have a lot of pace tonight.
Well, I think the big dichotomy that we're going to have to deal with this evening is the drivers with the silver numbers on the timing and scoring. Those are the drivers that don't have anything to lose. They're going to go for a race win. They've got no championship points to worry about. The drivers like AJ Stravado with the yellow numbers on the timing and scoring and our graphics, those are the drivers with a lot to lose. 4 points separates AJ Stravado in the points championship from Jeff Wright in the 48 car. Then Bailey Turner's only 2 beyond that. Bryce Calusa 11 behind that. So there's really 4 drivers realistically within an earshot. Jeremy Miller is not too far back either. He's got some work to do tonight to get up towards the front, but let's not count him out yet. It is still mathematically possible that Jeremy Miller could win this championship, so lots to keep our eyes on this evening.
Yeah, I see it as a 3-horse race between Turner, Stravado, and Wright, but those two, Calusa and Miller, they've had really solid seasons, especially Miller. He stepped it up big time. He wasn't in the playoff race at all last season after being really good in the regular season, but he stepped it up. He still has a realistic shot at this. He got wrecked at Dover. I think he could have had a lot more points after last week, but he got unlucky there. Got 5 drivers still with a good shot at it. We're going to go green and see who can claim it.
Pace cars off. 150 laps of racing from Iowa Speedway, the penultimate race of the season. Green flag flies, and we're racing in Iowa. One lap in the books. Yusuf Ghali and Ben Baffert almost had a collision going down the front straightaway into the first corner, but Ghali leads lap number 1. Baffert right behind him. He rolls way up the racetrack. There's the points leader, Stravado, to the bottom of the racetrack as they exit turn number 2.
It's going to be interesting how Stravado is going to be, how aggressive or not aggressive he's going to be in these first few laps, because he's right now extending his points lead over Bailey Turner and Jeff Wright. As I tried to note, Jeff Wright started 16th in the field. He's already up to 14th after last time. He has a lot of work to do to catch that 33. Has to make sure he gets to the front before that 33 gets to the lead possibly.
There's Orion Carlisle in the number 71 Ford Mustang. He was the winner from Charlotte a couple weeks ago. There's contact in the background. Matthew Close in the 92 bounces off the fence at the exit at turn number 2. Goes 3 wide with the second place driver in the points. That's Jeff Wright up the middle. The 19 Hayden Pistorius making his ORL start here on the bottom.
You got to be careful. That wall will jump out at you, especially out of turn number 2. That banking. Oh, Close gets shoved up the track. I think that's Mario Miranda, up the track into him.
Still 3 wide there for a moment. The 30 car, Jeremy Miller up the middle. Tim Downey Jr. backs out. See some damage on the right front of that number 98 car of Miranda. So might have to come down and repair that in that number 98 Toyota Camry. Up at the front, though, Yusuf Ghali continues to lead this race. AJ Stravado, though, going for second out of the bottom in turn number 1. And let's talk about how bumpy it is down there, Connor. It's hard to maintain control over the bumps on the bottom.
If anything, you want to try to make a pass in the middle of turns 1 and 2. You really don't want to have to go down to that very bumpy stuff down there, because it will catch your car by surprise. You'll shoot up the track and hit that car you're battling with on the outside. So you got to really be careful if you're trying to make a pass down there like the 33 is. But you might be able, if you hit those bumps just right where that line Stravado ran right there, you could get a little bit of a boost, a little bit of grip there that could jolt you out of the corner, and you could actually get some decent speed there. He didn't make it work there, but if you hit the line just right, it can work if you go over the bumps right.
Jonathan Hernandez got a great run at the exit at turn 2, was able to close right up to Carlisle and Stravado. Started 6th, he's gained 1 spot and jumped inside the top 5. The 71 got spooked there a little bit, drives way up the racetrack. Bailey Turner keeps the door open on the bottom as they exit turn 2, almost 3 wide there.
Otto's trying to work over the back bumper of Baffert, but Baffert's not letting him go easily, racing them hard here on lap 7 as the 54 starts to scoot away a little bit. A 3 or 4/10 lead there as the big battle for second with about 4 or 5 cars there as Bailey Turner is going to try to go for that 5th position on Jonathan Hernandez.
Jeremy Miller out of line in turn number 1 looking for a position. The 2 purple cars 2nd and 3rd. AJ Stravado, I think he has to keep this in context here. The drivers in front of him are not competing for the championship, Connor. So how hard do you race in this early in the race? Is it worth getting into a tussle over? I'd say probably not.
I wouldn't think so. He probably sees that 24 behind him. He wants to get as much distance from Bailey or Jeff as possible, but there's enough space between them where he doesn't even have to worry about that. He doesn't have to race Baffert that hard. I think he's really just trying to get some separation between his championship competitors and himself, but he is really trying to work over Baffert here, but it's just not working.
Baffert has lost about a half second to the 54 Yusuf Ghali out front. There's Casey Licata's having a pretty good start to the night here. He started this race in 9th. He's gained 1 spot up to 8th. And right behind him is his Similar Sports teammate. That's Alex Bell. He started 7th. He's actually dropped 2 spots, so not the right direction for the number 15.
Biggest mover right now is, not surprisingly, probably Jeff Wright, 16th to 11th, trying to crack the top 10 right behind Bryce Calusa there, another competitor for the championship. Jeff's got to go if he wants any chance in Atlanta here, because the 33's gaining big points on him. You don't want to be in a big hole going into the final race of the season.
Laps ticking away. This is a pretty short race by Outsider Racing League standards. 150 laps on a short track should take us about an hour. We're about 5 minutes into that, 54-ish minutes remaining. See Bailey Turner getting a better look at the one of Hernandez. Behind them, Alex Bell on his teammate, Casey Lakatos. This is for 8th.
He's trying to make that bottom work, but there's just not much down there. He goes over those bumps. The 50 protects a little bit. Bell just can't get enough of a run out of that corner. As you see Wright, Jeff J. Wright, finally going to the bottom, trying to make that pass with maybe a bit of a dive bomb. That's something we're going to see more frequently the later we get into races. Dive bombs, especially in the turn number 3, you're going to see a lot of them.
Yeah, Jeff Wright started 16th. He's climbed up to 10th now as soon as he can get by the 20 of Bryce Calusa, who was our winner from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta on the road courses. He's been pretty solid. He's also been good here in the past. I remember when he first came to the Outsider Racing League, this was a track that he ran very, very well at. Behind him is Jeremy Miller. He's up 5 spots, continues his climb, but an understeer there, that's one of our keys to the races, watching the aero push. It was bad at Dover last week, Connor. How much of that still lingers here at Iowa?
I think you're going to see it not as much here, because while the corner speeds are pretty fast for a track this size, 3/4 mile, it's still not that fast. You're going down, the drivers, the speeds, try to look at Jeremy Miller's speeds, it's going down to about 115 in the middle of the corner, so I wouldn't expect the aero push to be as bad, but you'll definitely still feel the effects of it as you almost wash into the turn 2 or turn 4 walls, so you have to be careful. Might want to change your line a little bit into the corner, get out of that wake, just like Jeremy Miller is from Bryce Calusa, just trying to cut under him to stay out of that dirty air.
Ben Baffert has been the thorn in AJ Stravato's side so far. He sees the 54 driving away, and Stravado hasn't been able to complete this pass here, and it's started to kind of stack up a group behind him. Orion Carlisle, Hernandez, Bailey Turner, and Adam Cabot all right there as well. And speaking of Cabot, he's popped out of line to try to get by that 24 car.
It shows how hard it is to make a pass at a track like Iowa. Stravado's been working that bottom line pretty much since the green flag dropped 16, 17 laps ago, but just hasn't been able to make it work. Sooner or later, that right front is going to start overheating, and he's probably going to start dropping through the field if he's not careful. We'll see if he goes for a dive bomb on Baffert, trying to get that bottom to work. Just not enough down there as the 23 tries to pinch him to that yellow line.
17 laps into this race, and not a lick of contact from anybody other than the 92 and 98. They've both met the outside wall just a little bit. The patience that Stravado is showing is championship worthy. I just wonder how long it's going to last. Behind them, there's Bailey Turner and Hernandez going at it. See if Turner can finally complete this pass.
I did hear something on the radio. Hernandez said something about overheating. I don't know if that might be an issue with the setup possibly, but no one's blown up yet. The one, he doesn't have any front end damage, so that might be something interesting to look at for the Camaro specifically. We'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, interesting to note. That's peculiar. And again, the only other thing I could expect outside of a setup issue is potentially damaging the floor, the oil pan on the bumps, but that seems like a pretty extreme situation to happen at a track that is bumpy, but not necessarily known for it. You can race these cars pretty hard at the road courses, jump curbs all day long, and they seem to hold up pretty well, so that's an interesting thing to hear from the one of Hernandez.
Yeah, I would assume that would be a setup issue, but like we said, we haven't seen anyone blow up, so it just might be something that just only goes, because you see that a lot with setups, that they'll blink on the short run, but they'll go away on the long run as the revs get lower and lower. As we see Stravado making a big cut to the inside, we might see a dive bomb into turn number 3 here. The big wiggle out of turn number 2. He's not able to make that dive. Baffert's still pinching him down to that yellow line best he can. Stravado, this is the closest he's been to making this pass.
He's awful close, but getting the drive out of turn 4 is really where he stalls out. He's able to pull up alongside in 3 and 4, but just can't get the throttle down on exit. He's going to run right up. You see the car bounce over those bumps. He just can't carry the speed, and Orion Carlisle's keeping the pressure on and means that AJ can't really get experimental with his line, or he'll lose a position to the 71.
One person experimental with his line. Cabot went basically to the 2nd or 3rd lane there, trying to find a way by Bailey Turner. I thought he got by him earlier, but he's still behind him. It's for the 5th position now, as they both got by Jonathan Hernandez, who slipped back to the 7th. He's about to drop another position in case Lakatos, but the 77, another one, just trying to find any other line other than the middle or the bottom to try to make passes, because he's stuck behind Bailey Turner.
Now look at him go to the high side now, carry some speed there. And if he can stay alongside that 70, or the 24 rather, he'd have that spot. He's going to squeeze up there along the start-finish straight, and he'll have overlap into turn 1, but can he carry that and parlay it into a pass?
That's a smart way to make a pass. You have to have that positioning on the outside. We've seen how hard it is to make a pass on the inside because that driver with that positioning on the outside could just pinch you to the yellow line. So you got to be careful. You can't let that driver get to your outside or else it's pretty much game over for you. That's what happened to Turner there.
Well done by the 77 to complete that pass. Travato continues to work over the 23 of Ben Baffert. Behind them, a bit of a scramble behind Casey Lakatos in the number 50. You see the one of Hernandez has dropped back to about 8th spot. Then Alex Bell and Jeff Wright continues his climb forward.
Well, Alex Bell tried a way high line into turn 1 there. Baffert almost got hit by Travato there. I think the patience on the 33 is going away here as his line of 5 starts to pull away from the rest of the pack. But I saw Bell, he's trying to third lane in turns 1 and 2. That might work in 3 and 4, but turns 1 and 2, the high line's far too bumpy.
See the one car giving it a shot as well. Wright's going to cut down on the bottom. Now, you said the high side's bumpy, but we did see the 77 make a pass out there, so maybe there's a middle ground in the middle of the racetrack somewhere that's sort of a best of both worlds. And I think we might see that more as the inside line heats up. But so far, I'm not really sure where the best place to be is.
Well, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, their high sides are a little bit different. It's in turns 1 and 2 specifically, that high line is far too bumpy. You'll just hit the car way too much on the track. And 3 and 4, you can get something going up there. There's a little bit of grip up there. You can wrap that top line perfectly, that very top seam. If you can wrap your left sides around that, you might be able to get a run out of turn 4, maybe make a dive bomb into turn number 1 on the bottom line. But I haven't seen anyone pull that off yet. Cabot got the closest to it, but he wasn't as high as you'd want to be to make that sort of move. As Baffert starting to put a little bit of ground on Travato himself. Meanwhile, Yusuf Ghali, unsurprisingly to me, he's checking out.
A nice orderly single file line entering turn number 3. Baffert in command of it right now. Then Travato, Carlisle, Cabot, the rest of the top 5. Bailey Turner wants back at the silver and black number 77. Drives up to the rear bumper. Can't do much with it, though.
Auto drives up to the rear bumper of the 23 of Baffert. He's going to take a look low. Almost more contact being made, getting closer and closer to that left rear quarter panel there. Patience is running out. You might see that 24 getting in the rearview mirror. Baffert gets way loose out of turn number 2, trying to save it. Travato just gets back in line. I'm wondering when he's going to maybe potentially use the bumper.
Yeah, that was a big save for the 23 coming out of turn 2. That might be blood in the water for everybody behind. You see the 77 pop out of line on the 71 of Carlisle. Side by side into turn 1. Stravato's going to drive in deep. He might be able to clear the 23 here, but not quite.
See if the 23 can do this without getting loose. I wonder how hard Baffert's even driving to keep the 33 behind him. Here's the 77's going to take a dive on Carlisle 2 by 2. For the top 5 spots, while the 54 Yusuf Ghali, he is loving every bit of this, pulling away over 2-second lead here.
Out up front, the 54 Yusuf Ghali leads by 2.1 seconds. For second place, it's a 4-car battle, 2 wide, 2 deep, as they come out of turn 2 here at Iowa. Drag race down the backstretch between the 23 and 33, and it's just still a dead heat between these two. And here comes the 24 to the mix, 5-car fight for second.
Yeah, 5 cars who want that second spot here. Stravato's so close to making it work. If he just drives it in hard here into turn number 1, he might be able to do it, but Baffert matches him, gets dead even right on that right side door of the 33 Stravato as Cabot looks for a 3-wide move potentially as the 33 has the edge into 3. Sooner or later, he's probably going to try that dive bomb. The question is, when does he do it?
Oh, the 33 is cheating up the racetrack a little bit. He's trying to pull more of a middle groove to carry some better momentum, but he's leaving the door open on the bottom of the racetrack, and that means that the 77 can sneak up there and grab a position. So Stravato is doing something smart. He's using up the 23, but will that open the door for someone behind him to have a look? I think it might.
I just don't know if anyone like Cabot or Carlisle, both drivers get really loose as Baffert finally clears again for the second position. Immediately goes defensive there. Look at them slide up the track. Their tires are dying. I think both these drivers are wearing their tires out far too much. Guys like Carlisle, Cabot, and Bailey Turner are going to be right on their tails here. Whoever loses this position is going to be in trouble. Oh, they're going to hit. They are getting closer and closer to hitting each and every corner.
Well, it's solid racing so far. I don't think they've touched maybe more than once or twice. Bit of a bobble there at the exit of turn 2. There's a touch to the door. Now there's more contact. There they go again.
Yep, that's exactly. You had to see it coming sooner or later. Stravato's going to get that position. That's going to hurt the 23 more than the 33, but he's going to have a look at the bumper here. I think the 33 is about to get dumped.
Whoa, there he goes. Stravato.
That is a great save. That's a championship leader you're doing that to. You got to be careful if you're Ben Baffert doing that to the points leader.
Oh, man, we saw last week a lot of scores get settled. I think we're opening up the notebooks and writing down some more names to beat up in the schoolyard after the race. I think this is going to get very, very hands-on and elbows out here. We're only 34 laps in. We're a fifth of the way through this race. We already got people throwing punches.
And that's a problem for Stravato because he was looking to extend his points lead, but now he's got Bailey Turner, who I believe, I'm trying to see where Bailey Turner fell to. He's all the way in 4th position, so he's gaining points on Stravato right now. And Jeff Wright all the way to the rear bumper of Stravato now, so that 33 might start to fall here. This is not what he needed.
No, here comes Jeff Wright. Again, the points difference between these two drivers was 4 points coming into the night.
Caution.
It has caution out. It's the 33 of Matt Burgess in the back straightaway in the number 12. So hold that thought. Let's go have a look at what happened here to the number 20, or excuse me, the number 12.
What number is he? The 33, the 20, or the 12?
Out of turn 2, just lost control of it, real simple.
Yeah, that was an odd one. Way far down the track as well. Just lost it, and that's not gonna do the car well.
No, that's gonna not buff out super easily for the number 12. So with that all said and done, Yusuf Ghali's 2.5-second lead is erased. Now time to hit pit lane and get fresh tires. This saves, I think, the 33 car who was burned up his tires in that battle with the 23, and now we'll get a reset here and try to drive back through. But the damage has already been done track position-wise.
I think it's good for him because it gives him a chance to clear his head a little bit. He was probably seeing red. He was just hunting for the 23's rear bumper. If he got back to him, he was surely going to dump him. I still don't know what that was really about. I mean, I get the 33 did door him up the track a little bit, but
well, that's my argument.
I do know what that's about. We do know what that was about. Hold that thought, but it gives him a chance to clear his head as Ben Baffert really missed his pit stall badly there, but it gives him a chance to clear his head, stop seeing red, get focused on the prize at hand, focus on the championship, not that specific driver. You just got to keep a cool head here and he'll be fine.
Yeah, so thinking back to AJ Stravato, is he's actually going to beat the 23 off of pit lane. That might help his head even more. I have to look at that from Ben Baffert's perspective. I mean, you're coming in here, yeah, there's championship fights going on. You're also trying to win the race, and I think he looked at it as he got run up the racetrack, and he's just serving it, dishing out what he got dished. So I would be concerned if I was a 33. I'm not going to try to lean on any of these guys that are just one-off shows here tonight, Connor. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think battling for second was that important at that particular moment in time, and I'm not sure I would have roughed him up. I think I would have just sat there in third and maybe used the pit stop as an opportunity to move forward and try not to make enemies that have no consequences because they might not show up next week.
Well, I don't think it was complete. It wasn't. I don't think it was an intentional hit. I think he just sent it too far because of the frustration that he had not getting by the 23 for 35 or so laps, and he also had a sense of urgency going on. He saw that 48 getting closer and closer to his mirror. Bailey Turner was right on his tails. He had to go. If he didn't get that second position, he was going to fall back multiple spots. So he had to get that second position right then and there. He was able to do it. I don't think that it's not how he wanted to do it, but he was able to do it, and then he got the business right back from Baffert. So I do understand why Baffert was mad. He's got doored up the track, and that left front damage is not going to help his turn in whatsoever. So I can't blame Baffert for doing it, but I also can't blame Baffert for doing it because it's 2 weeks in a row you messing with a championship competitor. Joshua Banks last week, and then Baffert this week. I wouldn't do that to a championship competitor, but sometimes I understand why he would do that because he got roughed up.
There is two sides to every story, and it is definitely a double-edged sword. And I don't think that's the last rough up we're going to see here tonight. We mentioned at the beginning that it's a short track, and this is a great place to settle scores, Connor. It's also a great place to start tallying. And for drivers like AJ Stravato, I think it's more about settling him. For drivers like the 23 coming in here, he's competitive. He's going to have to take names if he wants to win this race tonight. He's got pace, but I don't know if it's better than the 54. And speaking of the 54, he has led every lap here so far tonight, Connor, and I'd be looking at this as the guy to beat tonight.
I think he's led every except one, just because Keith Lakatos always stays out to get his one lap led, but he's definitely the one to beat. I don't know how you are going to beat him. I think I don't know who the second fastest driver is right now. I couldn't tell if it was Baffert or Stravato. Now they both have a little bit of damage. Now you got a new competitors up there. Cabot second, Turner third, Carlisle fourth. Jeff Wright made his way up to the fifth position. I still don't know who's the best challenger for that 54, but at the end of the day, I really don't think there is another challenger for him. I don't see anyone keeping up with him.
Maybe not. As we roll out of turn number 4, we should get the one to green this time. Re-rack and restack. It's going to put the 33 car in 6th. That's on the outside. The 48 of Jeff Wright will have the inside for the restart. Curious about the lines and how they're going to form. We see this rubbered-in groove beginning to form here in this middle groove of the racetrack, Connor. When will we see maybe this outer groove, or when will we see this inner groove really be viable?
I think you'll definitely see people trying to get away with how low can you go. I think you'll see people even trying to apron at some points. You really never know. These restarts can get crazy. I don't think in turns 1 and 2 that top lane's going to come in, but turns 3 and 4 when the lights come on, when the sun goes completely down, I think you might see people venturing to that way top lane in turns 3 and 4.
So 10 laps shy of our 1/3 mark of this race. We've had 1 pit stop so far as Yusuf Ghali is in command of this race. He will choose the inside lane for the restart in his number 54 Toyota. Adam Cabot will be on the outside in the 77. We'll try this again. Restart at lap number 41. Pace car pulls off. Toyota versus Chevrolet on the front row. Chevrolet versus Ford on row number 2. Green flag back in the air, racing again from Iowa.
Spinner, Hernandez. Sorry, I thought Hernandez was about to spin it out. He made a great save there, but he's going to lose a lot of track position.
Now there he is on the bottom of the racetrack. Right behind the 42 is Zach Floyd, his teammate there as they come out at 4. AJ Stravato on the outside of Bailey Turner. He's actually gotten ahead of the 48. That's crucial for the points, but he'd also like to get ahead of the 24 car right in front of him.
Yeah, it's another thing we got to think about with Yusuf Ghali dominating this race so far. He's going to get all those bonus points right now. He's got the bonus point. Obviously, points don't matter to him, but he took the point for the pole. He's going to take a point. He's got a point for leading a lap. He's likely going, oh, we got another spinner. Someone in the grass at a turn number 4. I don't even know who that is. Coming back up, it's 42 is Zach Floyd almost losing control.
Was that Zach Floyd in the 42? Let's go back and have a quick look. Oh, yeah, there it is. Got loose out of 4, caught it, drove it back up the racetrack. So the 1 and the 42 have had some trouble. They will get it straightened back out as we go back to the front here because Adam Cabot has worked his way into 2nd place and looking pretty racy on the back of the 54.
I wonder how much of this is Ghali saving tires and Cabot trying to push to get that race lead away. Baffert swashes up the corner and Calusa a little bit, no contact there. Almost 3 wide in turn number 3. Here comes, I believe, Jeremy Miller trying to look to the bottom 3 wide as Baffert gets back in line behind Alex Bell.
Now, I think the true test for Baffert's pace, he ran 2nd quick before, but can he drive back through the field? I think that's the curious part to me. Running 9th right now after that slow pit stop on the pit sequence. And having a look here. Last stop, well, that's not working right.
Well, he completely missed his stall, so that's why he went so far down into the order. I don't know, he's got decent pace, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get through the field because you saw how many people, holding up 4 or 5 people there on that last run, so I don't know if he's going to be able to get back to those people specifically.
15 car of Alex Bell, who's been sort of stuck in 8th place. I have to feel for Alex Bell. Started on pole last week at Dover. It was his first ever pole in the Outsider Racing League. Led the first 30 or 40 laps of that race and ended up finishing 2 laps down. Almost gets turned off the nose of the 30 car out of 4.
That was close. He's almost going to hit the wall. Baffert's into the wall. He's the first one I've seen try that way high line. And he got a big run, but he couldn't do anything. He's almost going to get in the rear of Bell there as Brendan Bowers looks at the bottom. The 23 getting boxed in here. As the 30 is going to wash up into Alex Bell. Calusa almost into the wall at turn number 2.
Getting physical there in the middle of the pack. This is all a battle for about 7th place. That's Bryce Calusa on back. Look at this.
Oh boy, that is Iowa at its best. He got 3 or 4 lanes being used. He's going to run that 15 dot off the top.
He's going to take it all the way to the bottom. Elevator move, wall to line for the 15 of Alex Bell. There's the 30 car going up the middle now. Going to try to squeeze up there. The 23 is going to get squeezed into the fence out of turn 2.
The 30 just barely got clear there. Here goes the 23. Another sort of a dive to the outside, but he's going to scrape the wall, lose some momentum up there. I don't know how much of a run he's going to get. He's going to be 3 wide again with, I believe, the 98 and the 31.
Yeah, it's Mario Miranda in the 98 car, the 31 of Brandon Bowers, who hasn't gone very far. RJ Root in the number 8 car is back there. Dyson and Slicin for 14th and 15th. Oh, slow, big slide for Alex Bell in the exit of 2. He'll drop a position to the 98.
And Baffert's the first one. He's trying his hardest to get that way outside line work, and he's going to do a bit of a arc there, trying to get a big run out of turn 4. Got a decent run, but he's not going to be able to get to the 30. That is for the 8th position. He's trying to get, lost some spots on that restart, I believe.
Ghali leads by 0.3 of a second. He's slowly increasing his lead over Carlisle, but Bailey Turner is catching up to these middle 2, Cabot, Carlisle in 2nd and 3rd. And Bailey Turner, looking at the points situation, came into the night 6 back from the overall lead. And I think he's also a threat for Stravato. If he I think if you're within 10 points of Stravato heading into Atlanta next week, I think you got a legitimate chance. If you're beyond 10 back, I think that's a real stretch.
Yeah, and I think the way these guys are running right next to each other, 1, 2, 3 right in a line, I think they're definitely all going to be within each other. And you got to factor in the halfway points. Obviously, the halfway points are not for another 25, just under 25 laps actually, but those are going to factor into it as well. Bailey Turner looking to cut a little bit. Oh, I think that was Baffert into the wall a little bit, but the 24 trying to cut a little bit into the 33's lead. Cabot trying his best to get that track position back, not let that happen.
Well, Jeremy Miller on the 20 at Calusa, they got real tight together through the middle of 3 and 4. We saw Baffert almost catch the fence out of turn 2. I'm not sure if he hit it, but he got close enough to at least make the paint worried about it.
Paint's been worried since lap 1, so I don't think that's an issue.
A couple marks out there already.
Yeah, there's marks everywhere around every single track on iRacing, so I don't think they care too much. This 30, Miller's trying so hard to get that dive to work into turn 3. He's not able to quite make it stick, although this is the best he's looked under the 20 of Calusa. We'll see how far he dives into 1. A big send here, almost gets clear. I think he is clear. Is he going to take that room? The 20's going to charge through the middle and center of the corner, but Miller's got the position.
Leaves the lane open just for a moment to see if the 20 would try to squeeze it back up there. He will not be able to. Look at the 23 again shooting for the outside groove. I don't think there's any grip up there yet, Connor. I'm surprised that Baffert is really trying the rim line around here.
Wow.
I don't think that's going to handle the cars just yet. See Miranda get all sorts of sideways out of turn 4.
Yeah, he got really loose out of turn 4, but the 23's trying something. You might as well. You're hard back in the pack because of that mistake. You might as well try something. You can't make a pass on the inside, can't make a pass in the middle. Might as well try to get that outside lane worked in. The 98 is going to try to help him get that outside line worked in. We got a few drivers in the back trying to make it work. I believe that's actually Finian trying to make it work back there at 18th. So the more people run up there, we might get a groove.
Yeah, Finian DeCuna, again, making one of his first ever Outsider Racing League starts. Started 22nd. It's been a slow bit of progress so far for him in that nice-looking 94 Toyota Camry. Big bobble there, but just doesn't seem to quite have the pace. About 2/10 off the race leader, but 2/10 here on an oval is a pretty big gap as we watch the battle up ahead of him. There's RJ Root in the 8 car getting starting to slice and dice with the 15.
Maybe one of his better runs because remember RJ Root had a rough few races when he was trying to run ORL. He was having a rough go with things, had a couple of wrecks here and there, wrecking a few times at certain tracks. He had to get his bearings under him a little, but he's looking decent so far. Up there in 13th position, right in front of a Chase competitor, so he's having a strong run for himself.
Again, the Chase competitors are the ones lit up in gold on the ticker. Bailey Turner, the highest running of them. The top 3 Chase competitors at the moment, Turner, Stravato, and Wright, are the 3 top drivers in the points, just kind of mixed up a little bit. Jeremy Miller, you could add to that group as well. Miller has jumped up into 5th in the points. He is 21 back from the overall lead. I should say Bryce Calusa, who is right in front of this group, there he is in 8th, is in 4th of the points as the 98 and 23 chasing each other down the front straightaway.
This Ben Baffert isn't making friends here because the 98 doesn't seem too fond of him if he's throwing a block like that on him down the straightaway, especially down the front stretch. You don't really want to be blocking. You're just going to get yourself turned. That inside wall, especially on the front stretch, comes up in a hurry.
Yeah, I got to be honest, I'm not exactly sure the 23 car came in here caring to make a whole lot of friends. I think he came in here tonight to run the race and try to win it. And being friendly sometimes is good, but I don't think tonight a lot of people are going to leave here wanting to shake hands.
I don't believe so. I think Stravato might give him a visit in the garage area. I'd like to see footage of that in the garage area. The NASCAR Thunder games where they just fought in the garage area. If we get a simulation of that, that would be great. But 23, yeah. See, I think this shows how much track position matters. He lost that track position, and he hasn't been able to make anything work. He's been trying that top line, hasn't been working. He's back to a 10th position now. He's hit the wall a few times. You see the damage on that right front fender. It's just not going well for him.
Looking back at our 2nd and 3rd place competitors, again, my eye is staying on the 71 Orion Carlisle, who has been an increasing threat at the ovals as of late. Think back to his Charlotte win. That was a dramatic win in the last couple corners with a bump and run and 3 wide coming to the checkers. He has begun to run up front a lot more and a lot more consistently, Connor, and I would not put him out of the question to win this race tonight. He's always quietly running inside the top 5 and only shows up when he really needs to.
Yeah, he's done a really good job in the races he has done. He's able to constantly be in the top 5, if not top 5, definitely top 10, one of the top drivers in the series, even though he hasn't ran a full schedule. If he did run a full schedule, we've said it many times, he'd definitely be a Chase competitor. Maybe he'd be competing for the championship right now on decent point terms with the 24 to 33. He's been really solid in his starts, and I expected him to be better at the road courses, but he's shown he is able to do what he has to do on the ovals.
I think that's been the biggest surprise to me, is coming from a road racing background. While he has not performed poorly there, they have not also been a huge marker of success for the 71 team so far. And considering his background, I would have thought those would be his strengths. They have just been sort of average for him this season. Whereas drivers, I'm trying to think of the drivers that have really impressed me on the road courses. The 20 of Wright's Calusa, Jeff Wright. Well, Jeff Wright we expect to run well, but I think Calusa was one of the biggest surprises for me.
Jeremy Miller was a surprise at Sonoma for me personally. He was running top 5 for a lot of that race. I think that surprised a lot of drivers to see him up there.
Absolutely. He was 65 laps into this race, about 10 shy of halfway. And Ben Baffert is slowly working his way back forward. It's been dramatic, though, and I can't imagine that right rear tire is a big fan of the driver behind the wheel of that 23 right now.
Right rear or the right front. I think both the right side tires are probably going to be down to the treads by the end of this run if we do get to the very end of the tire run, as he's going to cut with a bit of a crossover there on Brandon Bowers, battling for that 10th position, trying to stay in 10th. He's falling back to 11th right now, trying to get that bottom line to work, just can't do it. Has no turn, has no drive in or drive off.
Tell you what, he's making it exciting at the very least.
Oh yeah, I'm loving it. I want to get that top line, and I want to see more drivers do it.
19 car of Hayden Pistorius joins us from the Fuel Racing League here tonight, running up inside the top 15. Hasn't been an amazing race for him, but he started this race back in 14th. He's gained 2 spots in that Mountain Dew Game Fuel car. And it's been slow progress, but progress nonetheless.
This is 8 laps to go before halfway points are awarded, and really no chase drivers to mention other than the 24 of Bailey Turner and the 33 Stravado, and just like that, the yellow is out.
Whoa, caution, 42 car.
I think Baffert might have been in it as well. I think he also had Ford, so 23 might have had something to do with that.
Well, let's go back and
actually,
see.
no, 42 did say self one out of 4.
Well, I know the 42 car was also sideways, so here's a look at it. Yeah, there he goes. I think the 42 was the one that triggered the yellow flag. I'm not convinced that it was the 23, but let's have a look here and see what happened to Baffert.
Let's see. He's loose there. Maybe he just quit because he had too much damage.
No, just disappeared. I don't know.
The yellow.
Huh.
Guess he was just done.
Interesting. Well, either way, Zach Floyd brought out our second caution flag of the evening. And we'll see probably everyone hit pit lane again right around the halfway, just before halfway, Connor. Can we make it from here?
I honestly don't. I feel like I don't know, on an 80% tank, 80 laps, I think that's too far out of the window, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. I don't think you can make it, but I've seen weirder for sure.
Drivers hit pit lane. I don't think we'll see anybody differentiate. The one car is going to come around and lead a lap. That'll be his first lap led tonight.
Powers by the pace car to get that lap led.
Well done, actually. I don't think he would have done it unless he had throttled up like he did. So everyone's going to hit pit lane, pick up 4 tires and fuel.
Wonder if we see any 2 tires, especially from the 24, the 48, trying to get those halfway points over the 33 Stravado, because we're going to be restarting with about maybe 2-3 laps to go in this stage. As we see, there goes Jeff J. Wright, right on cue. I think he took 2 tires. He's going to get out first.
Yeah, he did take 2 tires. Everyone else took 4, so Jeff Wright is the only one to differentiate from the 4-tire strategy. I don't know that we've seen 2 tires work out a lot recently, but I think it's always worth a try.
It's definitely worth a try. He needs as many points as he can get. A 4-point gap coming in tonight. He's been running with the 33 since the incident with Baffert, but he hasn't been able to pass him. He was stuck behind him that whole time as Hernandez hits pit lane. This time as Jeff Wright's going to be the next chase driver to get a bonus point, and a pretty big bonus point for the championship. And if he can get the halfway points over the 33 and the 24, that puts him in a big spot here to maybe get even the points lead after tonight. But if we don't get a quick yellow, he's probably going to be in trouble, I would assume, because he might just start dropping through the order. But we've seen how hard it is to pass, so that track position might prevail.
You're watching the Outsider Racing League Chase. The penultimate race of the season will conclude everything next week from Atlanta Motor Speedway. The last race of the Outsider Racing League season will kick things off again in Daytona on February 13th. We'll have a couple weeks of off-season. In the meantime, not a lot of off-season happening here on Sim TV. Of course, tomorrow we've got, of course, GT World Challenge America Esports from Imola. That will happen at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern. And then at 7:15 p.m. Eastern, the return of the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Indy Elite Series on Sim TV. It'll be myself and 4-time winner in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge Series, Tom O'Gorman, joining me for that one. IndyCar from Homestead Miami Speedway. Then next Tuesday, it'll be the Fuel Mission 22 Premier Series from Daytona, their season opener, followed again by the Outsider Racing League next Saturday. And also, don't want to forget that Wednesday night on the Winding Road YouTube channel, we'll be hosting the Spec MX-5 Sim Racing Challenge, their first round from Road America, the National Park of Speed. Lots of stuff happening this week. And you're joining myself, Kyle Heyer, alongside Connor Horn for the second to last race of the season in the Outsider Racing League Championship. Lap 72 of 150, Connor. So far, so good. 2 cautions slowing the progress so far.
And this is when things are going to get interesting because finally we have a new leader who's going to lead the field of green. It's been all Yusuf Ghali tonight. He's been dominant. Although we say dominant, he didn't pull away that last run. Adam Cabot, Ryan Carlisle, they were able to stay with that 54 of Ghali. Might have been Ghali saving tires, but I thought he would have pulled away earlier if he was saving tires. So maybe the 54, maybe 77 or 71 has something for him. But we'll see if Jeff Wright has anything for either of those drivers because I believe we're not going to have a yellow for the halfway, but it's basically going to be a green-white checker to see who gets these halfway points. And this would be big for the championship if the 48 could hold on with those 2 tires to get all 5 points.
Listening to Jeff Wright, he has that car clutched in. He's got that clutch pedal depressed. The RPMs you can see we're down to 300, which tells me, you can see it on the, again, right here in the middle of the screen. As soon as he drops down, he's got it throttled back into gear now, but that tells me he's saving fuel, Connor, and that makes things very interesting up here from a strategy perspective.
I wonder how many people topped off on fuel to get that maybe extra lap. I don't think anyone really did. Got some drivers single file, like Finian, Dacuna, Eddie Trejo, Matt Burgess, who's, I believe, laps down. So the fuel might get tight. I don't expect it to go fully green at the end, but if it does, fuel strategy might become an issue, and that would be really big for championship implications if, say, one driver didn't make it on fuel and another driver did. But we just got to focus on how Jeff Wright fares on these 2 tires.
Iowa Speedway, lap number 74 of 150. Jeff Wright on the bottom, Yusuf Ghali up on the outside, Adam Cabot, Ryan Carlisle, AJ Stravato, your top 5. Green flag back in the air, racing again in the Outsider Racing League.
That's going to get dicey. Look at Stravato already trying to go 3 wide with Turner.
Oh, he's going to lose it.
Up the track. He's going to spin.
No, he's going to crash.
Oh.
Caution is out, and the points leader is destroyed.
My goodness, just like that. My goodness. And just when you thought that dark cloud was off of him, it just returns just like that.
Big drama for the points leader. Came into the night 4 points ahead of his teammate. Let's go back and have a look at how this all went wrong. Here's a look. Just got the car. He just turned left too hard, Connor, and the car just got away from him.
That might have been netcode. I want to look at what sent him spinning because he was all on his own there. And that looked like more than cold tires.
So here's a look off into turn number 1. He had a lot of space. Oh, maybe you could be right, Connor. I think I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. He got loose. It might have been just cold tires. I didn't see any like sudden jolts there other than he got loose, tried to correct it, started sliding again, and then just that one overcorrect. That just one overcorrect sent the harden of the outside wall.
There's a look from on board. He was middle 3 wide. There might have been contact with the 20, but then he just gets behind in the steering, almost has it saved, overcorrects, slams that outside wall. And he's going to have to keep running even with that destroyed car, Connor, because otherwise he's going to not have a chance to come back next week at Atlanta without some extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. He hasn't had many bad races. His one bad race I can think of is at Chicago. That was the one time I remember him not finishing top 10. He's been up front every single other race, really, and after last week, getting through that whole ordeal with Banks, and he might not have been there if it wasn't for Baffert racing him like he did, but you can't really go into circumstances like that. But that's if he can't make up points or if something doesn't happen to the 48 or the 24, that might have just killed his chances.
Dramatic crash for the points leader and is now sitting on pit lane with likely very lengthy repairs. Jeff Wright, the driver that came in second in the standings, is now leading. So this is totally flipped up on its head as we head into our final race next week in Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, man. I don't know. I mean, we've seen lots of drama in ORL, but this is one of the more dramatic moments I can remember.
Yeah, that's a pretty big moment. He was trying to make up for lost time. He saw the 48 take 2 tires. He wanted to get to the front as soon as possible. He also didn't want to get the 24 too far ahead as well, so he made that 3 wide move. Aggressive move, but 2 laps to go before those halfway points are awarded. As the points leader, got to get everything you can get. On cold tires, he tried to do more than the tires were willing to do, and just got too aggressive, and away it went. And I don't want to be that pessimistic, but that could have just been a championship slipping away from the 33.
So our third caution of the night at lap number 75 brings out another caution flag period. We'll re-rack and restack. No one will hit pit lane other than the 33 car, which the good news is he is rolling again, albeit with significant damage, so at least it's nothing that'll have to sit and fix for 10, 15, 20 laps. So he's still on the lead lap somehow. And the best thing that can happen to AJ Stravado is that this race turns into a chaotic mess where other people crash out and lose position. He still could finish okay, but it's going to require a lot of carnage around him.
Yeah, and on top of all of that, he lost out on any halfway points he was going to get. And his main competitor, Jeff Wright, he got all 5 bonus points. I believe Bailey Turner got 2 bonus points. So on top of that, he's probably already lost the points lead on bonus points alone. Just factoring in bonus points, I think that would put the 48 2 points ahead. And then you factor in the race points with the 48 leading, the 33 down the order, not looking good for the 33.
I would like to take the opportunity to talk with Jeff Wright, who is the current race leader. So let's see if we can briefly bring him in here to talk to. Hey, Jeff Wright, it's Kyle in the SimTV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Kyle.
Hey, I know you don't have a whole lot of time, but a dramatic moment with the points leader, AJ Stravado, wrecking in turn number 1. You've taken over the lead, got the halfway points. How's this looking for you? Looks pretty good from our seat.
Yeah, I think we're in a pretty good spot. Me and my crew chief, Reggie Ortega, we're wondering if we should maybe try the 2 tires there just to get those points. Lead a lap, which is a bonus point, and then obviously first for 5. So we just picked up 6 bonus points, so that's really good for us right now. Feel really bad for AJ though, getting caught up in a wreck there, and that might take him out of the points on come to the championship race. Would be super unfortunate for him. The tires on the left really just aren't wearing, so I didn't think it was too big of a risk to take 2 tires here. I guess we're going to find out here on a long run, see if this is going to work for us. But yeah, I think we're in a good spot.
All right, best of luck to you, Jeff. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
So Jeff Wright picks over the lead. He will start on the outside of the front row for this restart. Adam Cabot in the 77 will pick up the bottom. Then Yusuf Ghali drops to 3rd for this restart. We'll see if he can get that lead back. He led the opening handful of laps of this race. I still think he's the fastest car out there. We'll see if he can back that up here on lap number 80. Green flag back in the air here from Iowa.
Have to keep close tabs on how fast that 33 Stravado is at the tail end of the lead lap in 18th, already dropping off everyone else basically as the 48 gets a good restart. Looking pretty sideways on those 2 tires, be able to make it work.
54 of Ghali pinning the 24 up against that safer barrier as they exit turn number 2. Big slide through 3 and 4. Tires are nice and fresh, but that doesn't mean they've got all the grip you want. You're still begging for a little bit. There's Jeremy Miller up into 5th now. This is a driver that we should probably keep our eye on, Connor, because of how far he has come forward. Started in 17th, here he is running 5th.
And not someone you usually see doing this well at really any of these tracks up in the Super Speedway. Definitely stepped up this game this season, trying to pass the 54, trying to pass the dominant driver of the day in Yusuf Ghali, almost for that 4th position, all the way up into the top 5. I think you said from 17th. It's been a heck of a drive so far. Still trying to make up more spots as a lot of the field going single file as that 48's pulling away to a decent lead.
All single file now. The 8 car of RJ Root popping out of line just a little bit. He's got Casey Lakatos in behind him, then Brandon Bowers, Jonathan Hernandez, Matthew Close, Finian D'Acuna up to 16th. Finian, again, kind of picking up where other people are dropping back and slowly working his way towards the top 15. He could get a top 10 by the end of this thing, just keeping the nose clean.
Yeah, it's really all the name of the game is, especially at a track like Iowa. Just keep your car clean. You're probably in for a good finish, as the 48's been able to do that so far, albeit with 2 tires, he's able to keep the fenders on it so far. Same thing for pretty much everyone else up front. Jeremy Miller up to 5th, a big contribution to the fact that he has no damage on his car. And you see the guys who have some right front damage kind of marked in that back of the pack. Not just the 33, obviously, but the 92 Matthew Close, Finian, who actually just tapped the wall a little bit. Eddie Trejo's car looks clean for the most part. Just a couple guys here and there tapping the wall here. They got to be careful. That wall jumps out at you.
It sure does, especially out of turn 4. I thought that would be calamity corner tonight, going back to our keys to the race. Aero push hasn't affected us as much as I would have thought. Green flag runs, we've had an average amount of cautions tonight, nothing out of the ordinary. Calamity corner has been more the exit of turn 2 than it has been the exit of turn 4, although a handful of our cautions have been from that 4th and final corner.
You'd say dirty air hasn't affected the racing as much, but we saw how dominant Yusuf Ghali was earlier in the race. And it's kind of a wonder to me why he hasn't gotten back to the lead. It could be dirty air hindering him a little bit. He's got 3 drivers giving him that dirty air. He's really got no other line to go to right now, just struggling to find any sort of way to make up ground on these guys.
Yeah, you have a point there. It seems like the leader still has a fairly significant advantage in that clean air. But we have been able to see people follow relatively closely, but at the same time, you see Ghali poking out to the left. It seems like they're trying to find a lane of the racetrack where they're not following someone directly. So maybe there is something to the aero push that is not immediately obvious.
Yeah, there's clearly something still hindering these cars, as not just a dirty air onto the 54, the 48, the race leader. Like we can talk about, he's on 2 tires, so he's definitely not on good terms when it comes to the tires, but it seems like there's something keeping him out in front. He's obviously, Jeff Wright's obviously one of the better drivers in this series, but that dirty air that he's giving to specifically the 77 of Adam Cabot's got to be helping him a little bit, as we see Miller trying to make another dive for that 4th position. Ghali too strong in that middle. Oh, that's tight.
Hearing that AJ Stravato might have had an engine expire, and it looks like that is the case. That is disastrous, and that is it for AJ Stravato. His night is over.
Yeah, unless it becomes a wreck fest, he can get back out there. But even then, there's not going to be many points to be gained. Matt Berg is still running on the track. Likely the 33 is going to finish 19th, so that's going to be a lot to make up at Atlanta if things don't go his way for the rest of this race.
Things are getting spicy here for 3rd. Bailey Turner, Yusuf Ghali battling for position. Jeremy Miller watching from behind. And I think he might smell some blood in the water. Look at the 77 going for the top spot as well.
It's all the 54 squeezes way to the outside of the 24. He's able to get that positioning that you want. As here goes Cabot for the race lead. Really the first battle for the lead we've seen here today, as Cabot's going to take a stab at that bottom line. So hard to pass down there. We'll see if those 4 tires can make it work down there. He's got a big run out of 2.
Oh, here he comes. Big slide by the 48. Couldn't keep the power down without kicking the rear end out. Now Adam Cabot dives into turn number 3. He goes all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. Can Wright carry the speed and the momentum and hold on to the top spot, or will they be a dead heat at the line? Wright is going to carry that speed and almost re-clear the 77.
Ghali was able to get that 3rd position away from Bailey Turner on that outside line, and Cabot's got to watch out the 54 do the same to him. He's actually going to look to the inside here, maybe get back behind him, try to make inside, go outside. He's just going to go for a straight dive to the inside. Bailey Turner joins him as he's going to fend off Jeremy Miller for that 4th position now.
Whoa, the 54, great run through the middle of the corner, but not quite enough to hang on to the quarter panel of the 77. It is often a pretty big distraction to have someone right on your quarter panel as you're trying to pass someone in front, so that might delay Cabot's run for the top spot here.
It's difficult to worry about 2 things at once. You got to worry about finding a way around the 48 who's on not as fresh tires. You also got to worry about picking a line that the 54 is not going to pass you in. And I think you got to be careful to leave that outside lane for the 54, because you might just be pinned down there for the rest of these 10 or so laps. Seb's going to have to make this work, or else Ghali's going to go right by him.
Side by side for the top spot, bit of a bobble by the 77, and he might clear the 48 car there. There he goes.
We saw that dive bomb coming. The later gets into these races, the 48 tried to dive in as well. He almost hit the wall. He went in so deep. Ghali's going to be able to get that 2nd position away. The 48's going to go for a crossover and move to the bottom.
Yeah, Jeff Wright losing his grip on the front runners now as the 77. The 54 go by, he gets turned.
Oh, they're able to save it, and 2 more championship competitors getting into it. He got a spinner. I think that's the 98. He's going to be able to save it, keep it straight, and stay free.
Well, that was a chaotic mess. Look at this pack through 3 and 4. Everyone's everywhere.
And the top 2 get away from everyone. Yusuf Ghali and Adam Cabot are away from the rest of the pack. That was almost exactly what Stravato needed as the 2 other championship competitors got into it. Bailey Turner stays in 3rd. Jeff Wright trying to fend off for that 5th position. No matter what happens, this 30 and Miller just can't get the 4th position.
Now off into turn 3. Yellow spoilers, splitters, and banners, as well as the yellow numbers on the timing and scoring, designate the chase drivers. Bailey Turner, the leading group of those right now in 3rd spot. The 30 and 48 go off into turn 1 side by side. And some damage on the left front of that 48 car now as well.
That's probably where the 24 ran into him, and that's going to really hurt the handling, especially on those 2 tires. That car is not going to be handling nice at all. Miller finally cleared for that 4th position, trying to set his sights on Bailey Turner, whose car looks relatively clean after the contact with the 48.
Yeah, Turner still runs 3rd. There's Alex Bell working over Orion Carlisle. That's for 6th. And with all that chaos, Jeff Wright has dropped back to 5th after leading this race for a while after the restart. But remember, back to the restart and the points that he got on the halfway point, Connor, those are going to help offset this drop in positions.
Yeah, he's really in a good spot here to have a decent points lead over the 24. At this rate, it'll likely be Bailey Turner in 2nd. Who knows who will be 3rd after tonight? It might even be the 30 of Miller, but that 48's got nothing to worry about. Just keeps his car clean for the rest of this race. It keeps decent track position. He should be the points leader going into the now.
99 laps complete of 150, so next time by will be 50 laps to go. That's about 20 minutes worth of racing, given 23 to 24 seconds a lap. Are we feeling better about pit stop situation here? Looking at Adam Cabot, he's been out on the racetrack. That stint isn't working correctly, but he's been out on the racetrack for 30 laps at the moment. So can you go another 50? That's an 80-lap run. Is that enough?
I think at this point, I think we're going to see everyone try to make it all the way, even if it's close. It seems like you had that yellow where everyone was able to save some fuel. Even people maybe at the back of the pack might have topped off for fuel. I think there's a good possibility. I feel more confident now that really not many people topped off, that you can make it on fuel. We'll just have to wait and see. I'd be worried about how far the 48 might drop through the field, as Hayden Pistorius is slow on the backstretch. He's got a lot of front end damage.
Pistorius in 16th. And rolling to a stop. Is he out of fuel?
Might have blown up. He had that front end damage before.
Let's go back and see if we can find out a little bit more about this situation.
Oh yeah, out of turn number 4. You'll see out of turn number 4 the previous lap.
Here's a look. Oh yeah, big boom. Right in front of Finney Takuna. He did a good job not running into the back of the 19, and Pistorius did a great job reacting and pulling off.
Still coasting. He's actually going to coast to a stop. No yellow is going to come out for that. I think that actually happened in that stack up. That's why the 98 Mario Miranda actually retired from the race, because he got, the reason he was so sideways, I think that was because Hayden Pistorius actually ran into the back of him. So that's where that front end damage came from. And we're talking about how those water temps or whatever temps they were blinking. You get front end damage on the front of these cars when the temps are already high. You got no chance.
Well, under 50 to go, Yusuf Ghali, who has led the most laps of anybody here tonight, 67, is now running in 2nd and running a little bit quicker than the race leader, Adam Cabot. So I think Ghali's night is not done yet. What a statement this would be to come back from a long hiatus from ORL and then leave tonight with a trophy in hand.
A virtual trophy at that. I personally am not surprised one bit that he's been running this way. I'm only surprised he hasn't gotten the lead back here. He's trying to get that nose ever so slightly under the 77's wake to get a run out of a corner on him, but got really loose out of turn 2 there. That air is just fluctuating back and forth from loose, tight. It does everything that it wants except make the car turn correctly. So the 54 is just struggling to find a way by. Another person struggling is still that 48. He's trying to way high line here. He's battling for that 6th position, trying to fend off Alex Bell.
He's going to do that for now. Casey Licata's back inside the top 10. Pretty decent night for Sim Motorsports. Not particularly fast, but very consistent. 7th and 8th right now. Finney Takuna back in 14th. And he has cracked the top 15 and has been picking up pace all the way along.
I gotta say, it's not the best of situations for Jeff Wright if it does go green from here. He's struggling on these 2 tires right now. The 15 seems faster. There's 3 other drivers behind him that could potentially be faster. He gained the falling grade from his bonus points to the halfway, but if he falls about 4 more positions, that advantage he had is pretty much gone, and it's going to be the 24 picking up spots on him. With how close they were 2 points apart in the championship, you could see Bailey Turner become the points leader. So if the 48 keeps dropping spots, this might get tight.
We've talked extensively in the past couple races, almost to the point of beating a dead horse, that Bailey Turner's season started on a disastrous note. 4 races outside the top 20. Then he went on a tear, and he won at Darlington. That totally turned his season around. And here he is battling for a championship and probably going to walk away from Iowa in the best position to win the championship. And what a season to turnaround this has been for the 24. I'd say he's been keeping his nose clean as of late, hasn't been in any drama. That's something that AJ Stravato could certainly try to avoid. Thinking back to last week's kerfuffle at Dover, I think Turner is in the best position. He's got the least enemies out there. Maybe Jeff Wright doesn't have any, but Wright has not been as consistent.
That's the crazy thing about it, because Bailey Turner actually got caught up in other people's drama. You remember last week, he got caught up in Banks and Stravato's drama, got involved in that wreck, lost a lot of points, fell from the points lead back to 3rd, trying to climb his way back up as this battle for 6th is bigger than it probably seems at the 15 or the 50. Jeff Wright might know the point situation, trying everything he can to fend off pretty much 5 other hungry drivers behind him as that battle for the lead starting to heat up as well. Cabot's got a rear view mirror full of Yusuf Ghali. Wow, Bell's getting really loose. He's trying everything he can. Cuts in front of Lakatos there. They are not giving up easy.
Good scrap going on between teammates there for 7th place right now as they exit turn number 2. He'll slot back in line in front of the 31. You mentioned the race lead, but look at Bailey Turner. He's there as well. It's a 3-car breakaway at the front as we hit lap number 112.
Not too long to go now. Laps are going to start winding down pretty quickly as the sun starts to completely go down as well, as those 3 getting away a little bit. Then you got 4th and 5th. Jeremy Miller not able to keep as well of a pace on them, but pretty even with the leaders' times there. Keeping up with him is Orion Carlisle as they pretty much separated themselves from the train of Jeff Wright's leader.
54 of Yusuf Ghali got really loose in turns 3 and 4. He gathered it back up nicely. But I see him working his way up the racetrack, and he's carrying more momentum on corner exits. So let's keep an eye on this 54 and see if he gets experimental with the lines. I think we've seen it become more bottom dominant the later we go in this race. But maybe the 54 can find some speed up top.
I think that's the only way he's going to be able to make the passes, get the positioning on. You got to get to the 77's right rear quarter panel and then just pinch the living heck out of him. I don't think he's going to be able to pass him on the bottom unless he roughs him up like Stravato did to the 23 at Baffert early in the race, or just straight up move him up the track as he's looking to do all over the rear bumper of the 77 Cabot. I don't think he can pass him on the body and might have to rough him up at this point for a race win.
We saw Ghali get real close to the back of the 77. He actually overslowed, trying not to run into him. So Cabot might be trying to back him up to keep him off and out of the chance to make a maneuver here. As we close in on 35 laps to go, I think Ghali is definitely quicker. And Adam Cabot knows that. As soon as he lets that 54 by, I'd say he's probably gone.
Finally, the 15 of Bell finally made the pass on Jeff Wright work, so that's 1 point drop for the 48, and he's still got Case Lakatos and Brandon Bowers behind him, trying to pass him as well. And that would be worst case scenario if the 24 was able to get the second or even get the win and get the bonus points for the win. That would be worst case scenario for Wright right now.
It has been about 15 minutes since we had our caution flag. Can we go another 15 without one, Connor? That's the big question mark. We've seen 3 yellows so far. Will we get a 4th?
The way those guys are sliding for that 7th position, I'd be surprised if it went green. They are giving it their all. The 48, I think he knows the point situation. He cannot let these guys by. Elves are going to door the 50 into a wall. They're going to be able to save it as Bowers kind of slid up the track a little bit. That gives Jeff Wright a little bit more leeway.
It's getting racy now. The 9th place car, the 50, Lakatos goes wide around the 1 car, but Hernandez will rebound. Remember, he had a big moment earlier in the race and has cracked his way back inside the top 10. And Casey Lakatos running a Grid Life Touring Cup inspired car. That's actually James Houghton's Acura TSX paint scheme that he ran on his GLTC Acura TSX at Circuit of the Americas last year. Won 3 of the 4 races that weekend. And subsequently, you see him get loose there out of turn 2. Subsequently, did not race any other races due to the COVID restrictions on the border, as Houghton's from Canada. There's Bryce Calusa down at the bottom, winner from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, trying to get 10th spot away.
If I was Bailey Turner, I'd sit in 3rd and hope it goes green, because you see that 48 dropping lower, farther and farther back in the relative, battling with more and more cars, about to barely trying to fend off Brandon Bowers for the 7th position. It's looking better and better for Bailey right now.
Turner continues to run up in 3rd spot, about 3/10 behind Yusuf Ghali, who holds on to 2nd. Next time by is 30 laps to go. It's about 12 minutes worth of racing, meaning we are very close to the end of this one. But Adam Cabot, let's talk about him for a second here. The laps he has led tonight, 67 by Yusuf Ghali, 26 for Cabot. By no means dominant, but he did have a pretty good climb. Started 8th running first, and he has a win, at least one, if not more.
One at Road America.
Yep, that was early in the season.
I'm trying to figure out where else he won. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know he definitely has more than one win. He's been in the races he has done. He's been up at the front in pretty much all of them. You're right.
It was Kentucky back in October.
Yeah.
So Cabot does have 2 wins to his name, but is not a championship contender.
He's looking like he's trying to battle for a championship right now. He's trying to fend the 54 off. Ghali's finally going to go for that dive to the bottom.
Oh, that's going to get tight.
There it is. They're going to get close to each other. Ghali trying to rough him up, but the 77 not budging. Look how loose the 54 got.
Yeah, big correction as they came out of turn 2. They leaned on each other just a little bit. That is a message sent from the 54 to the 77. I am here. I'm going to need a little more space next time, and we'll see how it translates. So far, it's been pretty clean up at the front. Golly hasn't done anything rash. Again, no championship on the line for either of these drivers, but the man in third would love to see these two get up and tangle.
He's loving the racing between the 31 and the 48 powers. Was almost clear of Wright out of turn 4, but got too loose. Jeff Wright, this is everything he's got on the top line. Just trying to make sure he keeps that positioning on that 31 right now. Look how far these two are setting it into a corner, trying to get this position away from each other. Wright is not budging. He needs these points, but he does not have the drive off the 4 that he needs.
Remember that it was 2 points separating Jeff Wright from Bailey Turner in second in the championship coming into the night. So with Bailey Turner 5 spots up the road, that could swap tonight. Again, Jeff Wright got 5 bonus points for leading at halfway. But Bailey Turner, with where he is running and the position that he is in, could turn that around and walk out of here with the points lead.
Yeah, Jeff finished 8th and Bailey finished 3rd. Bailey got 2 bonus points right now and Jeff has 6, so that would put Jeff 6 ahead. And then as they're running right now, that would put Jeff only 1 ahead of Bailey. So as it goes right now, they'd virtually be dead even in the points.
Whoa, the 15 car scrapes the fence out of turn 2. The 48 got close. I think Bell will walk away without a whole lot of damage, but that was really dicey.
185 to go next time by. I see the fuel's got to be good with the way these guys are driving. There's no saving going on right now. This is everything these guys got.
Yeah, and considering it's a 7/8 mile racetrack, we had to go 80 laps at the front of the field, and 80 laps really isn't all that much, even with the limited fuel tank that we run here in ORL. So I would assume that we're good to go. The 15 car is really struggling, though, and that could bring the 48 car back into this mix. Jeremy Miller dropping off the timing. Internet failure potentially for the number 30.
Yeah, he lagged out in practice, and that'd be really crushing because he was having such a good run in that 4th position, battling with Carlisle. So, yeah, if he doesn't come back, that does suck. And that's really good for Wright, though, because that's going to be another position for him to gain on the 24.
Yeah, it does look like Jeremy Miller is dropped out due to internet, so he was running up in 5th. That will shift everybody forward 1, Alex Bell, Jeff Wright, Bowers, and so on and so forth. That is disastrous for Jeremy Miller, who has had a couple good weeks. You mentioned their good run at Sonoma, and was actually creeping up into and crept into the top 5 in the points, but this is certainly going to hurt that effort. Alex Bell is out of control right now.
This is everything he's got. He's worn that right rear completely out. He's got Jeff Wright on 2 tires, closing him back in, and that could be trouble if they catch that 15 at a bad spot where he's getting too loose. That could be where the wreck happens. That could be catastrophe for Wright if he can't avoid it, as Miller his internet finally officially falls out as he'll go down the order.
Whoa, the Finney and Dacuna hanging all out on the line there. It looked like Formula Drift for the Camry that Finian is driving right now, still out of control.
That was a perfect camera angle for that, my goodness.
It certainly was, and the irony is that he created those camera angles. And Finney and Dacuna is taking the opportunity to run this race because starting next season on February 13th, Finney and Dacuna will be back in the booth here announcing for Outside Racing League with me. Connor will be joining us over on the Fuel Racing League side on Tuesday nights as we have 20 laps to go here, Connor.
You're starting to see Yusuf Ghali search around. He's getting a bit desperate, and you can see it. He's trying to, instead of going under the 77th wing, especially through turns 3 and 4, he's trying that middle line, trying to get away from the 77, trying to go to the right of him, as you'll see it into turn 3 here. He's trying the middle, anything he can do to get away from the 77, try to get runs on him out of the corner, as we've seen Bailey Turner kind of drop out of the picture here. Ghali trying everything he can to close that 77 in.
Into turn 1, Ghali is definitely getting experimental. He was 0.003 of a second quicker than Adam Cabot last time by. But it's going to have to be a little bit more than that if he wants to complete this pass and get it done.
It's going to need to be a lot more than that. You're going to start scraping out hundredths every lap, as I'm still paying attention to this battle. It's now for 6th. As Wright, he needs any spot he can get if the 24, maybe the 24 drops back to Orion Carlisle. Carlisle might have been saving his stuff. The 31's so close to clearing Wright, but just can't do it just yet. It's how hard Jeff Wright sends it into turns 1 and 3. The 31 just can't power down out of the corner because of how much he's getting pinched. He might have him here.
And Bowers through into 6th place, so that will negate the spot that Jeff Wright got for free when Jeremy Miller dropped out of this race.
We got the race for the lead now. Ghali's on the back bumper of Cabot. Is he going to be willing to move him? He's looking to that right rear. He wants to get the position he was outside. Cabot won't let him have it. I think he's going to have to move him eventually.
Going to look a little bit high. If he can get alongside up on the outside, that's a great place to be able to pinch the 77 car down. But 16 laps to go. Gali lost his advantage there.
I think he wants to bait Cabot into running that middle line. Then we got a yellow.
Trouble. It's Finian D'Acunha with 16 laps to go. That changes a lot of things.
Yeah, he hung the rear of the car out a bit too much that time. I'd be willing to say, yeah. Yep. And he's still trying to save it. Couldn't do it there. Didn't lock it down. He's he hit that inside. That was an inside gate there a ton.
Yeah, he just was chasing it all the way down the back straightaway. Just tank slapped it, and eventually just lost it and caught me right at the end of that wall. That's not a great place to hit. That'll probably be it for the night for the 94.
Yeah, that's done for him for sure. And that throws a wrench into a lot of things. That gives the 54 new life. I think he has a much better chance on new tires than he does on old tires. And that really saves Jeff Wright. He might be able to get back up to the front of the pack here to gain some more points on Bailey Turner. As we're going to have pretty much a dash to the finish, around 10 laps to go. Maybe another 2-tire call, but he got really worn out left sides, I would think. He did say they weren't wearing as much, but sooner or later you got to replace them, I think.
Yeah, what do you do? What pit crew, what are you going to take 2? You going to take 4? What's the tire worth? I mean, we're not seeing lap times that are 3 seconds off pace. They're a second and a half. I'd say we're going to get a restart with about 12, 13 laps to go, maybe 11. I think you got to take 4, Connor. I'm not sure you could do 2.
I think you do got to take 4. I don't know, especially Jeff Wright. He's got to take 4 tires. Maybe someone tail end of the top 10. Bryce Calusa, maybe. He needs a lot of points to try to claw his way back into a championship race for Atlanta. Maybe someone like Matthew Close trying to sneak a win here at the end of a season. Casey Lakatos, maybe someone risks it, but I think I'm with you. I think you have to take 4 tires in this situation.
Well, I want to see where everyone lands, and maybe we'll talk to
Gali. I think Gali might have taken 2.
He did take 2. He's the first one off pit lane by a long shot. If I was Gali, I almost would have taken 4, though. Maybe he thought others were going to take 2, but the worst you were going to restart if you did what everyone else did was second. So I don't know. But he did get the track position, Connor, and I would like to talk to him. So if we can get a hold of him, I think now is a really good time to chat. Hey, Yusuf Gali, Kyle from the SimTV booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
Well, Yusuf, it's been a really good race for you. You're currently leading after pulling a 2-tire call. You're the only one to do that call on this particular caution. How do you feel with Adam Cabot behind you with a set of 4 Mr. Feelgoods?
Well, it worked well for Jeff last run. He didn't keep the lead for the entire run, but we've only got 10 laps to go in the race, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, good luck to you, Yusuf. We'll see if you can hang on. You led about 67 laps earlier in the going. You just got to lead about 11 more after we get this restart, so good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, calm, cool, and collected there. Adam Cabot, though, in the number 77. I'd like to get his perspective on things as well. We'll talk to him now. Hey, Adam Cabot, Kyle from the SimTV booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Well, Adam led some laps there on that sector, but then the caution came out. Finian D'Acunha in the background came on down. You took 4, Gali took 2. How do you feel about these last 10 or 11 laps?
I think it really could go either way. Obviously, I did not want to see that caution come out. Clean air is definitely important enough that, he could pull it off with 2. Left side tires aren't wearing too much, but definitely going to give it a good shot and hopefully put on an exciting finish.
All right, Adam, good luck to you, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks, Kyle.
Bailey Turner rolls off in 3rd for this restart. And one of the cars I mentioned earlier that was going to quietly be there all night, Connor, there he is. That's Orion Carlisle in 4th.
He's definitely there when it matters the most. Trying to see if lights are on the pace car. They still are. So it will be exactly 10 laps to the end, I do believe. And Carlisle is in a good position to steal it here. The 54 and the 77, 2 very aggressive drivers. Save for Bailey Turner. They could rough it up every now and then. Maybe Carlisle will be that driver in 4th position this week through and maybe steal a win here.
You're watching the Outsider Racing League Chase, the penultimate race of the season from Newton, Iowa and Iowa Speedway next week at 10 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night. Will be the conclusion of the 2020 season of the Outsider Racing League from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll kick things off again for our 2021 season on February 13th at Daytona. Where else would you start a season of racing? We'll start it at Daytona. 1 to green here, Connor, and 10 laps to go. Pick me a driver who wins this race.
I'm honestly going to say I think it's going to be Yusuf Gali. I think I think I'm with him. I think clean air is going to be pretty king. We saw how long Jeff Wright lasted on 2 tires. The problem is, if he does get past, he's going to drop, but I think he's got a short enough time to the end where he is going to be able to hold off Cabot. Unless I don't think Cabot's going to be willing to bump him out of the way, but at the end of the day, they are both going for wins, but I think Golly's going to be able to get this one.
I'm going to take the 24 of Bailey Turner. I think he's in a prime position rolling off behind the 77. I think he's going to have 4 tires and not be tangling with the 54. So the 24 car is my pick, not only to win tonight, but to win the championship next week in Atlanta. Time to go racing once more. 10 laps to go. We'll have a chance for a couple green-white checkers should we get them. Golly, Cabot, Carlisle, Turner, and looks like 15 of Alex Bell, your top 5. Green flag back in there. Look at Licata's 3 wide up on the outside trying to grab some spots.
I don't know if that's legal, but if he makes it work, then so be it here. The 54 got the restart he needed to get a big jolt out to the front of the pack, as Cabot's going to be able to clear for second.
Cabot into P2. Whoa, big bobble there by the 15 of Alex Bell. To turn 3. Golly leads the way. Cabot second. Carlisle and Turner fighting for third. Then it's Alex Bell back in 5th. Jeff Wright hanging on to 6th, but Brendan Bowers on the outside lane. He's going to shoot way up the racetrack, hit a bump the wrong way, and shot towards that safer barrier.
More points for Jeff Wright, exactly what he needs. Only 1 car between him and that 24, which means he's likely going to come out of here with the lead. Look at the run the 77 gets through the center of the corner compared to Yusuf Ghali, but it's not enough. The gap's staying pretty much the same.
8 laps to go here from Iowa. It's getting really frantic back here for about 8th spot. There's Hernandez in the 1, Calusa, Licatas, Matthew Close, RJ Root, all getting racy. Close looking for the high side there, trying to gather some momentum. As Cabot closes in, he's got that gap down to about 3, make it 2.5 tenths of a second as we hit 7 laps to go.
He's only taking out thousandths at a time there. His best corners are 3 and 4. He's not gaining much in 1 and 2. He might even be losing in 1 and 2. He needs to find something out here, or else he's not going to be able to get to the 54's bumper, even if he wanted to move him.
Alex Bell to the bottom. He's looking for 4th on the 24 of Bailey Turner. Up the racetrack they will go. They're going to chase each other all the way to the outside fence. And Jeff Wright, I thought, could have played this strategy-wise a little bit better. I think he had better pace in 6th place tonight, and I'm not sure the results are going to show where he really belonged to be.
That's a big gain that time. Cabot found something in 1 and 2 that time as Bailey Turner makes a dive for the 3rd position. The 77 found something that time, and look at the runs he's getting out of the corners now. Now he's on the rear bumper of Yusuf Ghali.
5 laps to go at the front of this field, 77 and 54. Cabot's got 4 fresh tires. The 54 has 2. Look at the gain out of turn 2.
Ghali's getting loose. Bell's into a wall. He's going to block the 48 there. 48's a big dive bomb. 77's going to go for a bit of a crossover out of turn number 4. Look at the run he's going to get. He's going to get straight to the bottom of the 54. Ghali can't block. He's going to try to. Here comes Adam Cabot.
4 laps to go. Cabot to the bottom. Ghali up on the high side.
Oh,
he's going to hit that bump, and he's going to shoot up the racetrack. Cabot to the top spot. Here comes Carlisle for second.
That's not what Ghali needed. This is pretty much it at this point. I don't think he can chase down that 77 without a mistake of some sort. He's just holding on for dear life. Here goes Carlisle. He's going to get cleared for second. Does he have anything for Cabot?
And look at this group behind. We're still not in the clear yet. If we get a caution flag, things could change very quickly. 3 laps to go at the front of the field, though, and Cabot has a 3.5 tenths of a second lead. As you mentioned, if we stay green to the end, I think Cabot has got this one clinched.
Starting to get spread out. Yusuf Ghali, he might be pulling over, just calling it a day. He's only here for the win, and that's all he wanted. He's not going to get it. He's just going to pull over and call it a day and give everyone else in position.
It's going to shift up everybody, and that is a really interesting call, but a respectable one for sure. That's going to put Carlisle into second, Bailey Turner back into 3rd, where he's been running most of the night. Now look at Jeff Wright on the back of Alex Bell. This is not. This could be a crucial position here, Connor, because if he can get by Alex Bell, it's 1 more point he could use next week against Bailey Turner. I think Atlanta's going to be a good track for that 24. We'll see how it turns out.
We might have to get by that 15 in a hurry because the 24 is looking to maybe put the bumper to Carlisle as you got the white flag.
1 more lap around Iowa Speedway. It's been a night of trials and tribulations for some of our chase competitors. The 33 of AJ Stravado came into the night leading the points. He will leave Iowa trailing far behind as we head to Atlanta, but Adam Cabot, no championship on the line for him, just a race win, and he's going to pick up his 3rd of the season as we come out of turn 4. Adam Cabot wins at Iowa. Bailey Turner is going to come home in 3rd, and he will likely be very close to walking out of here with the points lead unless Jeff Wright still has it, which I think it might be Jeff Wright with a 5th place finish. That was a great salvage here from Iowa.
That yellow was really crucial for him. He was really struggling there. He was able to get 4 tires on the car, and he came back up to the front. That was pretty crucial to his championship race. I think he is going to be the points leader.
So Adam Cabot celebrating here his 3rd win of the season. His first came at Road America earlier in the year. The 2nd win came at Kentucky back in October, and his 3rd here in January in Iowa. And he has just been remarkably competitive at very strange points throughout the season, Connor. He didn't run a full-time schedule this year, but he is here and dominant and competitive whenever he shows up. And tonight, he'll enter his 3rd win of the season, which is pretty darn good considering he's not a full-time driver.
Yeah, if he was a championship driver, if he was a full-time driver, he'd definitely be in this chase competing for a championship, but he made the decision to drive part-time, only a few races with his teammates. He's making the most of them, getting wins, showing he could still do what he needs to do to get a race win. He made the right strategy call at the end of the day. He was struggling there at the beginning of that run. He wasn't making ground up on Gali, but he found something there through turns 1 and 2 on that 1 lap, and he was able to use that to get by that 54 pretty easily.
Here is your race results. Adam Cabot in the number 77 is your race winner. Then Orion Carlisle comes home in 2nd. Again, the consistency he has had on the ovals as of late has been phenomenal. Bailey Turner finishes in 3rd. Alex Bell 4th. Great run for him in that Sim Motorsports number 15. Then Jeff Wright, the number 48, rolls off in 5th. That was a pretty good recovery considering he had slipped as far back as 8th at one point in that race. Brandon Bowers in 6th. Then Hernandez, Close, Calusa, and Lakatos rounding out the rest of your top 10, Connor.
Yeah, like you said, it was a great recovery because Wright was really struggling. He might have lost the points lead to Bailey Turner if that yellow didn't come out, but as you're talking about, he was able to get on even tire strategy with the 24 and everyone else around him. Was able to pass the drivers. He was faster than on even tires, able to recover. Started 16th too, had to climb through the field early in that race. He got all the way up there for 5th, and things definitely went his way with the incident with Travado, but sometimes you need a little bit of luck to win a championship, and he got a bit of stroke of luck tonight.
Looking on back, there's Ben Baffert in the number 23. He started this race really competitive. We don't know exactly why he left, but couldn't get back forward. Tim Downey Jr. ended his race early. Chambliss Mott and Sam Devantier did not start this race. In a moment, we're going to talk to your race winner and more. Connor, your final thoughts on the race we saw today?
That's pretty much exactly what I expected from Iowa. We had multi-geared racing here and there. Had drivers trying to way top line, had drivers all the way down on the bottom. Saw everyone trying whichever line, trying to get out of the dirty air. We saw the dirty air seem to get worse as the race went on. The darker it got, it seems like the worse it got. We saw that come into play with the racing. Yusuf Gali was trying to put the bumper to Cabot before that yellow. Made the wrong strategy call of 2 tires, couldn't fend off Cabot, he was able to get the race win. And we saw a championship altering event with the 33rd Travado getting caught in a restart accident. So a lot of big things to unpack from this race for sure.
Well, let's talk to Bailey Turner, 3rd place driver here tonight. AJ Travado was involved in a wreck earlier in the night. Bailey, you're going to walk out of here awful close to leading the points. Your thoughts on Iowa, and first of all, congratulations. The 3rd place this season has really turned around, and you're going to walk into Atlanta as a championship competitor.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a crazy one. First off, apologies to Jeff there. I mean, I went back and watched the replay. We made the slightest contact. There's no way that should have sent a car sideways. So kind of ruined his day. And then, yeah, man, I feel bad for AJ there. He looked like he just went in on the restart and overcooked it. And but yeah, no, definitely going to be a pressure-filled situation next week for all 3 of us there trying to win the championship.
Yeah, so heading into Atlanta, the hot and slick racetrack, it's changed a lot running with these cars with the downforce that they have now. How do you think that place is going to race, and will multi-groove maybe be a factor there?
The times I have ran there, I haven't seen any multi-groove, so I'm expecting it to be a track position race the entire time. And, you know, that kind of works against me. I feel like I'm more of a guy that, you know, I won't qualify as well, but on the long run, I'll work my way through the field. So hopefully I can turn that luck around next week and get the track position. And, you know, it's going to be a tough battle. AJ's great, and so is Jeff.
All right, Bailey. Hey, congratulations. 3rd place tonight. Good luck to you next week at Atlanta.
Thanks.
Moving on now to our 2nd place finisher, Orion Carlisle, who has really taken a liking to these ovals, and he has been very, very good, especially since his win back at Charlotte a couple weeks ago. Ryan, congratulations. 2nd place tonight. 1 spot away from a win, half a second back. What'd you need to go up there and run down to 77?
Well, with fixed setups and all, everything's so equal, especially on fresh tires. So, and track position's really important because it's hard to pass at this track. So, I don't know if it would have been possible unless he wrecked himself.
Well, no championship on the line this season, but it has really been an amazing success, a surge of success in the late part of the season. We head to Atlanta next week, which, similar to Charlotte in some ways, very different in other ways. How confident are you in your ability to go out there and win in the final race of the season? And are you going to consider the championship next week when you're running around those front runners?
Yeah, I don't want to be, I mean, you can't just like pull over and let them by, but yeah, you don't want to be too aggressive and wipe one of those out like AJ ended up getting wiped out. So yeah, I'm pretty confident I could win at Atlanta. It'll be a little tough with the aero push trying to pass people, but we'll see.
All right, well, Orion Carlisle, second place tonight, the number 71. Congratulations, Ryan. We'll see you at Atlanta.
Thank you.
Moving on now to Adam Cabot in the 77, his third win of the season. The first came at Road America way back in the, I believe it was back in September. Then it was October where he won at Kentucky. And now tonight on the short track here in Iowa. So a road course, an intermediate, and a short track. Adam, you've won at one of each, maybe just not a super speedway. Congratulations. That was a hard-fought battle tonight, holding off the 54 to get it done.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. It definitely was a hard-fought battle there. Yeah, the super speedways didn't treat me nice this year, but I'll take, you know, it's really cool getting the win at each different type of track. Had a really good hard race with Yusuf there. I got kind of fortunate when Baffert moved my teammate out of the way and caused a bunch of chaos, so I feel bad for AJ. That kind of started the downfall of his race, but I was the benefactor there, so... but yeah, it was a really good, hard, clean battle with Yusuf, and you know, it's a shame that he just kind of gave up and pulled off the track, but can't say I'm surprised. But yeah, it was a really you know, exciting finish. I obviously didn't want to see that last caution come out, but you know, I knew that 4 tires was probably the way to go. I saw, you know, Jeff Wright, 48 car, took 2 early in the race, and it was kind of the same result as it was for Yusuf, where the first 5 laps you're thinking, uh-oh, should I have taken 2? This is kind of working, and then I don't know if the air pressures build up or what, but all of a sudden he kind of just fell off the cliff. But yeah, it was cool to have things go my way. I really thought, you know, last week at Dover was the fastest I've been all year, and it was a shame to get caught up in a wreck there, but really cool to get a win at a track that I used to really struggle at. This used to be one of the worst tracks, so really cool to get this win tonight.
Adam, congratulations. Looking forward to seeing if you could maybe get one more. Are you going to run next week at Atlanta, and how do you feel like you're going to do there?
Yeah, sure, why not? Atlanta, I don't know, because I haven't run a mile and a half with since the last build, and I've heard that dirty air is absolutely awful, so I guess it'll depend on how much we can move around. I love tracks where you can move around and change up your lines, which is why I think tonight went well for me, but guess we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it's hot and slick and puts on a good show.
Adam, thanks so much for talking to us. Congratulations. We'll see you at Atlanta a week from now.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Kyle.
Absolutely. Connor, going to wrap things up here tonight. We saw some really intense racing, but it did seem like it was tricky to pass. Next week we take on Atlanta. Hot and slick and fun for many different reasons, but I'm excited to head off there to kind of conclude things. Your thoughts on Atlanta, and who's your pick for this championship?
I think it's really hard to go against Jeff Wright. He's really good at hot and slick tracks, in my opinion. I know Bailey Turner did really well at Darlington, but that one battle I had last season, Jeff Wright at Vegas, it was a pretty, I know it was a night race, but that was a pretty slick track, a mile and a half as well, and he was able to wheel that thing to a victory. I thought I had him on fresher tires. He was able to outwheel me that race, so I don't know how Bailey's going to beat the 48, but I know it's going to be a heck of a showdown, and I'm excited to see it happen at Atlanta. The dirty air, from what I've experienced in official racing, it is pretty tough. I don't know what the conditions are going to be. I assume it's going to be hot and slick, so that dirty air, it's going to be hard to navigate, but I'm excited to see how it works out. And just a quick note, my points are always unofficial. They're usually like 6 points off, but just in case, I have Jeff Wright with a 4-point lead over Bailey Turner, and after Stravato's incident, that has Stravato 16 points behind Jeff Wright, Calusa 23 back, Miller 34 back. Pretty much a 2-horse race at this point, but Stravado and Calusa still have an outside chance.
We'll see you next week at Atlanta for the final race of the Outsider Racing League season here on Sim TV. My name's Kyle Heyer with Connor Horn. We'll see you next week for the season finale. Join us tomorrow at 7:15 Eastern for the Coca-Cola of Kokomo Indy Elite Series.